Philip Klapwyk, what's your view of industrial silver demand for the rest of 2012 and even into 2013?
Well, I think basically we have some positive trends over the medium to long term for silver industrial demand. We're in fact expecting that the demand this year on a global basis, 2012, is going to exceed the level seen in 2010, which was a record. That's coming after, though, a weak patch, particularly in the fourth quarter of last year and at the beginning of this year.
What about photovoltaic demand?
We think that photovoltaic demand slipped a bit last year from its peak level seen in 2010. I think there's a question mark about the number of installations that will be made in future, that the growth rate in terms of solar panel demand could step back a bit, and that therefore that might affect the amount of silver that is required for this photovoltaic application. Another thing we have to take into account there is that there is pressure, given high silver prices, for manufacturers to thrift in the amount of silver that they use for this application. So the amount of silver in the pastes, for example, is being slowly cut back a little.
Will there be any new uses for silver?
I think if we look over the next year or so, there's nothing really on the horizon that's going to be a game changer, but there are a number of electronic applications where silver demand should continue to rise, be it inks or other uses for pastes or for silver nitrate in certain applications, which should see industrial silver demand for these newer applications increase quite tidily. Also, if we see any recovery in the housing sector, I think that will also be very beneficial, of course, for demand for contacts and other applications that are related to the housing sector. Autos is another area where we've seen pretty good pickup in demand as global auto production, particularly here in the US, has picked up quite nicely.
Finally, we've talked about silver demand. Do you have a view of silver supply heading into the rest of this year as well as next year?
Yes, we've seen fantastic growth in silver mine production over the last decade, and we expect a further 4% rise in global silver mine production this year, led by Mexico again and by Canada. So we're certainly expecting the miners to produce more silver, both from primary and byproduct operations.
This market is fueled
Stock tickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going to